Hey, konnichiwa students, Mr. Howard here, and we're going to be starting by setting up a Frayer model. Yes, another Frayer model in your social study notebook. As we've talked about in class, taking notes by hand increases comprehension and remembering. So spend a moment, pause the video, set this up, and when you're ready, press play. Hey, welcome back. So let's get to it. We're going to be learning about job specialization. This is ICANN statement number 4. I can explain how agriculture results in job specialization. We've learned some things about agriculture, about human environment interaction, and the value of the Nile River. Now we're going to look at how those causes led to an effect that eventually would lead to a complex civilization in this river valley. All right. So here's our question. Why was farming so important to the development of a complex society? I kind of foreshadowed that it was a cause. Farming is a cause that led to this effect, but I haven't connected the dots yet. And this video is going to help you do that. So here we have a primary source image. I want you to spend a moment. You might want to pause the video, make some observations. What do you see in this image? Well, as we're going to be learning, ancient Egypt experienced something called job specialization. And job specialization all comes down to farming. Farming would produce enough food for everyone. Over here, we see this vibrant Egyptian civilization. I don't know who this guy is, but everybody else is ancient Egyptian. They seem pretty happy. Why is this? Well, they have something called a stable food supply. There was enough food for everyone, not just the people that were farming, but the entire population of ancient Egypt. In fact, we know, we're talking about historians know that ancient Egypt was so good at farming. Their people had developed techniques that harnessed the Nile River, that during the Roman Empire, thousands of years later, uh, ancient Egypt was the breadbasket of the empire, that without their agricultural production, people all across the empire would be starving. Okay, so not everyone needs to be a farmer, and we see this in the image here. What this would mean is it would give time for the development of new skills. Ooh, that was a very bad underline. Let's circle instead. So, new skills, and this is connecting to job specialization up here. Um, these skills would result in job specialization. So, you ever have one of those moments where something wasn't working? That was one of those moments. So, these new skills would result in job specialization. So, because of farming, people would be able to develop new skills, which means they would have different jobs. Okay. And if we look at the image here, we see not everybody is farming. We see that we have these guys with the fans. They're clearly servants. These two people look like they're rulers. And then we have some dancers in the background. Not sure what this guy is doing right here. Ignore him right there. All right. So, where does this lead us? Oop, wrong tool. This leads us to a separation of the population into different groups. Um, as the population increased in ancient Egypt, which it was increasing because they had enough food for everybody, which was leading to babies being born and people developing new schools. I'm sorry, new jobs. Wow, Mr. Howard, you need to drink a little bit more coffee. Thank you. I'll do that right now. As the population increased because of the amount of food in ancient Egypt, so did the number of jobs. Let me move my tool over just a little bit more. And once again, Mr. Howard, you need to get better at that. Okay. Not all the jobs had the same value. In ancient Egypt, some of the jobs were seen as being more important than others. So we have an increase in population, we have an increase in the number of jobs. Some of these aren't seen as being the same value. They're going to be ranked based on their importance, which leads to the development of social classes. You have in ancient Egypt groups of people that are valued differently because of what they do. Uh, so, the larger the population, for example, one of the groups we're going to see, it's going to require organization that's going to be leading to government. And then over here, let's take a look at this. And we haven't learned a lot about the different groups in ancient Egypt. That's going to be coming soon. But when we look at this down here at the bottom, here are the farmers. Okay, these are the peasants. These are the people that are producing the food for everybody else. They're one of the largest single groups. They did have slaves in ancient Egypt, but that's not what we're focusing on. We're focusing on this group here. Up at the top, then, we have individuals connected to the government. Okay. So the leader of the government was a pharaoh. We'll learn about more about their government later. They had officials, they had soldiers. All of this is about organizing and keeping order in their not really a country, their civilization. We mentioned that earlier individuals developed skills that had different value. One of the skills that people learned was how to read and write, something we take for granted, but in ancient Egypt, not everybody knew how to do that. So they're way up here. These are scribes. All right. So where does that take us? Let's go to the next one. By this point, you should have an idea of how farming as a cause led to the development of a complex society through job specialization and social classes. So spend a moment, pull it all together. If you have any questions, talk to me in class.